It is time for another episode of the PSL talk show. I'm here by myself this week because I just want to get this video out like super quick, just get it over and done with because I'm super busy right now. But my goal was to try and get a talk show out every single week, and I just need to get this one out because I don't want to have another season where I kind of let myself down with like not uploading videos. So we're just gonna get straight into this one. This talk show, we're going to talk about some teams that have put themselves in a really good spot for the first 2 weeks, and some teams that could be in like a lot of trouble. We're going to go over a quick review of the kill leaderboard, and we got fraud watch. We're going to call out a Pokemon in this episode. So to start, the two teams that I think have put themselves in the best spot to start the season are both in the Scarlet North, and it is Baltimore Raven Rollers and Cincinnati Blitzers. So, looking at these two teams, Cincinnati has been like, I'm going to be honest, I think it has been the most impressive team this season. When I went back and looked at the schedule and actually looked at who they played, they beat Rose Raiders 4-0. Then in week 2, they beat Houston 4-0. 2 dominant wins against top 5 coaches. Like, that is insane. Both A-tier teams. After going almost 5-0, just losing to Houston in week 5 last season, almost got a 5-0 season. Got the revenge game, got the win. Their opening 2 weeks were brutal, and I thought they were going to start 0-2. But they came out, they're 2-0. The toughest part of their schedule is done, and they've walked out of it with 2 wins. That's insane. This team has put themselves in like the best spot. Like, this is the best outcome you could possibly have. Like, just to dominate like some of the 2 best teams is insane. And then next week, well, this is why Baltimore put themselves in a good spot. Baltimore coming out with 2 wins here in week 1 and 2 has set up the game of the week. The battle for the North, Cincinnati versus Baltimore in week 3. This is the game to watch. This is the week that's going to decide which one of these teams has had the perfect start to the season. Baltimore's put himself in the spot. They started 2-0, which is exactly what they want to do coming into the season, seeing that Cincinnati had 2 tough games and were taking an early lead on the division. But Cincinnati, out of nowhere, has kind of just beaten these 2 like god tier teams. But Baltimore's up there. So Baltimore has put themselves in a spot where if they can beat Cincinnati in week 3, they can steal the division. This is going to be a gigantic game. And like, divisions wins are so important this season because a division win gives you a first round bye in the playoffs. So this is a huge start to the season for Baltimore and Cincinnati. So they're the 2 teams that have just like started amazing. They put themselves in like a really, really, really good spot so far. And the team I think is in a lot of trouble is Atlanta. So this has nothing to do with the fact that they have lost a coach and they've got a brand new one, but the fact that they do just makes their situation even worse. And this team's in a really, really, really bad spot because if you go and look at their schedule, they play in week 3. They have Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the only team other than Miami who hasn't had like a negative mark on their season so far. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of teams that haven't. Among the A to A plus tier teams, they're the only 2 teams that haven't. There's a lot of teams in B tier that have done very, very, very well this season, and they're really climbing up the ranks. So out of the big teams to originally be ranked in the top 2 tiers, this is one of the teams that haven't had any like flaw to their season so far. This is gonna be really, really tough week 3 game. And then in week 4 they play Beagles, the 2-time champion. Tough week 4 game. And then in week 5 they play Semirots, new coach who's 2-0 right now, has had 2 of the most dominant wins. Like, this guy could be 4-0 and could have 4 insanely dominant wins. And like, this guy, he's scary. I think he could be a huge threat to the league. We'll see how it goes. In week 4 they play Washington. That's another big game. And then in week 3 they play Carolina. Okay, so these are gonna be good games too. Carolina and New Orleans and Washington and New Orleans. So these Washington and New Orleans, these are the teams that I had like very similarly ranked in the power rankings. I believe I had them like paired together because they had played the same opponents so far through week 1 and 2. Very good wins just against teams that historically haven't been the toughest. So this is going to be a really big week 4 game to see which one of these two teams are actually the best. So it's going to be very interesting. But Atlanta's schedule to finish the season is brutal. It is rough, with a brand new coach coming in to fill in for Queen, who was caught being dragged out of a strip club after causing some chaos. We don't really know what happened yet. Still investigating it. But tough spot for Atlanta. Looking at the kill leaderboard now, if we remember, if any of you watched the stream, we had a talk show on there. I did lost the footage, I wasn't able to post it, I believe, but Tyrantrum was one of the Pokemon that was picked to be MVP, and it is 4th in the standings. Starting out their schedule against LA and Houston is 6-1. That's insane. Against 2 brutal teams, Tyrantrum's coming out 6-1. I think Tyrantrum's going to win MVP. I think Tyrantrum's going to win the MVP, and it's set up itself like perfectly to do that. Like I think this is the season where Arcanine's all-time season record is going to be broken. It was set in season 1. No one's been able to beat it. It's always had a 2-kill buffer. This Pokemon have been close, but not quite. To have 4 Pokemon on 6 kills after 2 weeks, and one of them on 8, scary. That is scary. We'll see how it goes, but I think Tyrantrum's put himself in a really good spot. But the kills are insanely high just for 2 weeks, so a lot of Pokemon have been putting in some big work. Now, the fraud. I think you all know what's coming. But we need to talk about this Pokemon. Cleavor. Now, we all know how much Cleavor sucks. Cleavor sucks. It is the meme of the league. And it was drafted and signed to a contract of multiple seasons. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but it was signed by multiple seasons. Not only was it signed by multiple seasons, it was brought back by the team that it ate shit on for multiple seasons. And I made fun of it when it was drafted. I made fun of it, and someone tried to call me out for it. He was new in the league. He didn't quite understand why I was making these jokes about Cleavor. And then I had to inform him that Cleavor has been the worst performing Pokemon in PSL. And guess who is ranked 376th in the league after 2 weeks? Fucking Cleavor. This kid sucks. He can't play. He doesn't have it in him. And he's embarrassing for the PSL. He's embarrassing for the PSL. I'm ashamed of him. And if he doesn't get his shit together, I'm not going to have a choice but to remove him from the league. He's an embarrassment. He's embarrassing. He's bad for the brand. And to be honest, he's just a useless cut.